Afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlos Mariani. I'm a state representative from St. Paul, and I chair the Minnesota House Committee on Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform. Those are big issues on the top of minds of virtually every Minnesotan today, has been for a while and probably will be for quite a while, particularly as we observe the accountability, criminal trial of the officer charged with the killing of George Floyd less than a year ago. Let me begin by just saying very broadly that the power of the Minnesota legislature should be measured, I believe, by whether and how it listens and responds to the people of Minnesota. At the core of what we do, this is what we should be doing. I am proud today to share quickly, briefly, as we'll move into committee under an hour to pass a big major omnibus bill in the Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform Committee of a carefully put together and meaningful public safety funding bill that seeks to respond to this critical moment in our shared history and seeks to be relevant to where Minnesotans expect us to be. The bill is a carefully constructed legislation that seeks to bring us together as Minnesotans by doing things in common with one another, making sure that there is strong accountability, transparency, expectations of quality human rights-centered actions on the part of all our state institutions at the same time that we are properly resourcing our state institutions, including our public safety, including our law enforcement communities. And so the bill seeks to hold peace officers accountable by providing vital resources to public safety and having clear expectations of what we should have of them as public servants. That's what we're hearing from the people of Minnesota. We are listening. The bill also seeks to involve citizens from all communities, from all backgrounds, who are standing up to intervene for making their communities safe and for supporting victims of crime, such as victims of sexual assaults, of domestic abuse. New times require new approaches. That's what we have constantly heard from Minnesotans, and that's what this bill intends to do, whether it's in law enforcement, whether it's in prison safety, whether it's combating sexual assault, whether it's reforming our approach to juvenile justice and supporting our young people in Minnesota, whether it's responding to the need to beef up our emergency responding systems across the state in every community. We listen for that call for accountability in this bill, and we do so by strengthening all our public safety and correction systems. We call on our colleagues in the Minnesota Senate to adopt the same approach. Listen to the people of Minnesota, craft your legislation according to those demands, requirements, expectations for change, and then meet us as we push out these bills and produce really good change actions for the state of Minnesota and for its people. I am joined today by a number of my colleagues. Representative Long, Vang, and Hollins will speak shortly and answer questions on many of the issues identified: prison safety, human rights, survivor grant programs, in this moment for racial reconciliation. We'll also hear from our speaker and majority leader. And at this point, I want to turn over to my colleague, our Vice Chair, Representative Cedric Frazier.
Thank you, Chair Mariani. I appreciate those words. Thank you for opening us up here. I just want to say, just right off the back, I just saw just saw a headline saying that our bill is anti-law enforcement. It is absolutely the opposite. None of the bills in this omnibus are radical. We are seeking to give more power to our citizen councils, which are going to help build relationships with law enforcement communities, between communities that have had some distrust for a long time now. We're seeking to give more authority and more resources to our post board, which is the licensing board that regulates our peace officers. That's an important piece because they are very vital in terms of the training that our officers get in making sure our officers are accountable if there are issues that they violate that sacred oath to trust and serve. And one of the things that is very frustrating is that our colleagues on the Senate side have not heard one police accountability bill. And how could that be? In this moment, we're in the midst of a George Floyd trial. We're in the midst of the trial to hold an officer accountable for an egregious action that happened last year. And our Senate has not heard one police accountability bill. That is something that we truly have to think about. Just yesterday, we heard community members talk about the importance of having police accountability. And those community members said that we are not going far enough with the bill that we have. What I implore is that our GOP colleagues in law enforcement listen to our community members, listen to those folks that have the closest proximity to these issues, and listen to what they're asking for. They're only asking that we have a system that holds everybody accountable when they do something wrong, and particularly for those that have the sworn duty to protect and serve our community members. And they have to protect and serve our community members, all of our community members, not just certain community members. That is what this bill is seeking to do, to provide those resources, to strengthen our licensing board, to provide resources to community groups, to empower them, to work to build relationship with our peace officers, and also to make sure our peace officers have what they need to get the training so that they can be accountable and they can have the training they need to be more in tune and more in touch and build better relationships with our communities. Thank you for the time today. I'm looking forward to taking any questions, and I'll pass the baton on to our next representative that's going to speak.
Thank you. This is Samantha Vang, State Representative from District 40B, Brooklyn Center. I just want to reiterate what Representative Fraser stated. We are at a point of reckoning where the entire world is watching Minnesota, and yet Senate Republicans have not heard a single police accountability bill this year. So I asked my Senate Republican colleagues to work with us and build a pathway for these bills, including my bill, House File 717. My bill seeks healing and a pathway to justice for families like George Floyd's family who had their loved ones died by the hands of police. We know there are families who did not get their day in court, like we are seeing today with the Chauvin trial. It is not up to legislators to decide justice for these families, but up to us as lawmakers to prevent roadblocks for reconciliation. So far, Republicans don't care about justice for our victims, especially for our communities of color. In the wake of violence against our Asian American community, police brutality against our Black community, Republicans have done nothing. No one should have to fear for the safety of Minnesota. Today, Democrats, we have a plan to improve public safety, and yet Republicans continue to ignore the work we need to do to ensure all, no matter by the color of our skin, are safe. We are ready to work with Republicans. It is a matter of whether they will listen to Minnesotans calling for needed police reform in the wake of George Floyd killing. Thank you, and I'd be happy to take any further questions.
I think I'm up next, Jamie Long, representative from Minneapolis, and I'm speaking to the Clean Slate Act, which I'm very grateful to Chair Mariani for including in this bill. 1 in 4 Minnesotans have some type of a criminal record, and 90% of employers conduct background checks, as well as 80% of landlords. I've heard some moving stories from constituents in my own district who made mistakes long ago, but are still paying for them because they're not able to find a place to rent and they're having difficulty getting a job. The Clean Slate Act would automatically expunge records for certain low-level crimes. And this is building on bipartisan efforts we've seen in states like Utah and Pennsylvania. It's supported by a really broad coalition, including the Minnesota County Attorneys Association, the Minneapolis Chamber of Commerce, and groups on all sides of the spectrum, from the ACLU to the conservative group Americans for Prosperity. It's a simple premise, and the Bipartisan Clean Slate Act really stands for, which is we should give those who have served their time an opportunity for redemption. And I'm grateful in this bill. It has an author in the Senate of Senator Chamberlain, and I'm hopeful that we can come together and move this forward as part of our omnibus negotiations this year.
I would like to thank Chair Mariani for having me today. My name is Athena Hollins, and I am really excited and passionate to talk about the work that we've been doing in Public Safety Committee. In particular, I think the work that we've done focusing on the purpose of public safety and law enforcement and what we really want our criminal justice system to look like, what we envision for the future for Minnesota and the purpose of our criminal justice system, whether it is simply deterrence, whether it's punitive, or whether we're really looking to rehabilitate individuals and create restitution. And so with that in mind, I'm very excited to be presenting the technical violations bill, which will eliminate the revocation of probation for individuals who have a technical violation. This is especially important in communities of color and BIPOC communities where people are often having their probation revoked because of small technical violations like drinking or having a relationship with people who also have a prior felony. And this is going to be incredibly important for making sure that individuals are being rehabilitated and are being able to be a part of our community and participatory in our community, and not unduly punishing folks for just existing in day-to-day life. We're also very excited to be presenting a couple of different criminal justice reforms, specifically removing the statute of limitation for sex crimes. This has garnered a lot of bipartisan support and is especially important because we know that a number of crimes of sex crime victims and survivors are not often ready to come forth and report those crimes on our schedule within the statute of limitations timeframe, especially if they were children when that happened. And so what we're really doing is listening to the experiences of the Minnesotans that come and talk to us and trying to adjust our statutes and laws accordingly so that we can really promote justice from within and promote justice for these survivors and victims, so they can feel like they are a member of our society and that we are listening to them and providing them with the best possible recourse going forward. And so I'm happy to answer any questions on either of those. I'm also happy to answer any questions of any other bills that I'm carrying. Thank you.
This is Melissa Hartman. I serve as the Speaker of the Minnesota House of Representatives, and I'm really honored to be here today with our Public Safety and Criminal Justice Reform Committee members to talk about this important legislation. At this moment in time, we really need political leaders to stand up and listen to both the voices of community and the voices of the law enforcement community and come forward with reforms that can increase trust between community and law enforcement to improve all of our lives. All Minnesotans deserve public safety and safe communities, no matter what they look like or where they're from. The budget that Chair Mariani and his committee are putting forward today work to improve the criminal justice system that right now fails too many victims of sexual assault, for example, and lacks important accountability measures in a number of areas. The Minnesota House DFL budget funds law enforcement while continuing to work to increase accountability. We're grateful to the law enforcement professionals who work to keep us safe and preserve peace, while at the same time respecting human and constitutional rights. We remain committed to public safety for all. As we move through the session and we continue working with one another and then with the Senate and the governor on a bill to fund public safety and corrections in the state of Minnesota, I hope that we will be able to make progress partnering with members of the community and the law enforcement professionals in the state to increase accountability and increase trust so that we have more public safety and more justice for all Minnesotans. With that, I would turn it over to the Majority Leader.
Good afternoon. Last year, a police officer kneeled on George Floyd's neck for more than 9 minutes, killing him and sparking a global movement for reform and accountability. Minnesota failed Mr. Floyd that day, and we are in a time of reckoning, and we are in a time of reform. The Derek Chauvin trial is a time of reckoning, and Minnesota more broadly is reckoning with the deep racial disparities that plague our criminal justice system and plague so many other aspects of life in our state. The response of the legislature to this reckoning has to be meaningful reform. I first want to thank Chair Mariani, Vice Chair Frazier, and the other bill authors for their excellent work in putting this bill together. I also want to recognize the work of the committee administrator, Mr. Lundy. It is not easy to craft legislation that thoughtfully addresses conflicting concerns about police reform, police accountability, and community safety. But they have done it in this bill and done so in a way that really delivers the kind of public safety and criminal justice reform that Minnesotans want. About 2 weeks ago, I spent some time at the YMCA in North Minneapolis, talking and meeting with groups like A Mother's Love, We Push for Peace, the Truth Center, people who are every day in communities, working with police, working with community, and trying to create public safety. Constructive, progressive leadership is what Minnesota needs right now in order to move forward with reform and to make the most of this time of reckoning. And that is what this bill represents. We believe that Minnesota can come together. We know that we need to come together on a bipartisan basis because Republicans control the Minnesota Senate. And like last summer, we can take meaningful steps that will do justice to this moment. And I think at this point in time, Representative Mariani will open it up for questions.
Yep, our first question is from Bill Warner. Go ahead. Bill, if you're talking, you're muted. Do we not have Bill?
Sorry about that. Apologize. Hit the wrong one there. Okay, this one may be for Representative Frazier or possibly Representative Vang, or whichever of the representatives wants to address it. On the police reform measures, what are the most critical ones, and explain how they will help change the situation and forestall another situation like George Floyd?
I'll give that a crack. Thank you for the question. There's really one critical one. It has to do with our post board, which it says regulates our peace officers. There is a bill in place that would allow them to, we have an early warning system that they have to start, that they have to develop. Currently, that early warning, currently the law only allows them to collect what is considered to be public data. The bill that I am carrying allows them to collect also private personnel data. Now that private personnel data will maintain and continue to stay private for a law, but it will allow them to catch situations similar to what was the issue with former Officer Chauvin. He had several other instances where he had attempted or used the same maneuver on individuals, the same type of kind of prone position, and had folks down. And those situations were never disciplined, so they were never public data. This bill will allow the post board to see information like that and be able to determine whether or not they need to intervene and provide other training to make sure a situation like that doesn't happen again. So that's critical that the post board have the ability to do the job that they need to do to help prevent those situations.
Representative, if they indeed then do have that data as your bill would provide, do they currently have the authority to enforce that if they see a problem area, such as with Officer Chauvin, or is there additional authority that's necessary in your judgment? And is that in this bill, or does it need to happen?
Currently, what they do have is the ability to, once they have that information, they can work with the local law enforcement agency to have them to address that issue. But they absolutely have the authority to address that issue through training mechanisms. They do have some narrow ability to enforce and take action on that. That is something that we'll also be taking a look at. But currently, they could work with the local law enforcement agency to address that issue.
Just one quick follow-up, if I may, on the same topic. This may be one for the speaker, possibly. How do you there is obvious resistance on the part of the Republican majority in the Senate to move these police reforms. We saw that in the SAFE Act, and we're probably going to see it as this legislative session plays out. How do you get that? How do you surmount that roadblock?
Well, I think the same way we did last summer. People of good faith came together and worked incredibly hard to get something done. This is the place where George Floyd died. That we have a responsibility to step forward and hear the cries for justice and take action. And we were able to, Chair Mariani and I were able to work with Leader Gazelka and Chair Limmer to make really significant progress on police reform and accountability. But there is still so much work to do. And we needed this regular session. We needed this robust opportunity for public input to bring and put so many more issues on the table. And we really look forward to having meaningful conversations with our colleagues in the Senate. I think what we saw last summer is that members of the community move hearts and minds when they share their stories with lawmakers, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. And so I would just encourage those members of the public who've had a reason to have strong feelings about police reform and accountability to have those conversations and tell their personal story to their Republican senators.
Thank you, Manny. Thank you.
All right, next question is Caroline Cummings. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm seeking some clarity on the part of the bill that would seem to allocate money for responding to civil unrest. Looks like $500 million in this fiscal year and fiscal year 2022. I'm wondering if that's a way to tuck in some money for mutual aid agreements since there's no deal on the SAFE Act, or is that for the actual cities and local governments that are faced with unrest and that causes damage and that allocates money for them to rebuild? If you could just offer some more details, that'd be great.
Yeah, there are several items, I forget how many, not very many, where there's civil unrest allocations. Many of those are one-time. They might all be one-time allocations. And, one of our primary responsibilities here is to make sure that our state law enforcement, public safety systems are well-resourced. They've been incredibly taxed, throughout this last year with actions up north involving pipelines with, of course, all the activity here in Minneapolis and in the Twin Cities following the killing of George Floyd. Those were very real expenses. And so we're looking to make sure that we don't leave a weakened, BCA, for instance, alcohol, tobacco, units who participated, who were called upon to be helpful during that period of time. So that's some of that. And then some of it is indeed, to do some level of small preparation for any other activities, but nowhere near what we were hoping to accomplish with the SAFE Act. So really, trying to backfill, some of the real losses and expenses that those state agencies in particular incurred as they were working, to keep us all safe.
But those numbers, those are significantly less money than the SAFE Act, which was, multi-million-dollar deal. So I guess where did you land on those numbers? And is that a reflection of maybe what the Senate would be willing to agree to, since they didn't I guess they passed their own version of the SAFE Act, but I guess where did you land on those numbers?
Yeah, we took the governor's recommendations on these. These came from the departments themselves. There's still, the hope and the expectation that the SAFE Act decision can still go forward to cover those much bigger potential expenses.
Okay, I'm not seeing any more questions, and members have committee in 3 minutes, so I think we have to wrap up there. We can handle any follow-up questions later. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.